All right, welcome to the apocalypse. This is my first video I've done in probably a year, so I figure what better time than now while everybody is stuck at home in their quarantine status with this whole pandemic going on. But I recently got a new phone, and it is the LG V60 ThinQ 5G dual screen. So that's a mouthful. I can't even say it. So we'll just call it the V60, but let's take a look at it right now. All right, so what do you get in the box with this thing? I didn't do an unboxing because it's, I don't know, fairly unexciting. But this is the bundle, so it came with the dual screen as well. But in the box, you get the phone, you get the dual screen case, no headphones, which is odd because this is one of the few phones that actually comes with a headphone jack. You get your 25-watt power adapter and a USB-C cable, and that is it. So if you want to go see an unboxing of that, you know, have at it, eat some popcorn, get your rocks off, watch a unboxing, which is a fairly boring event. All right, so first let's take a look at the build quality of this thing and what you get as far as ports go. And with this thing, it is a glass-on-glass build. It's got a really nice color, which is a super fingerprint magnet, though, I will say that. But of course, it's your typical glass-on-glass design, but with this one, you actually have a headphone jack. So this has got a quad DAC. Ironically enough, though, it didn't come with a headphones in the box, but it's quad DAC. It's got a USB Type-C on the bottom. You got one speaker grill along the bottom. This has got 3 buttons. So on the left side, you got your volume up and down. Then you've got a dedicated Google Assistant button, which unfortunately you're not able to remap that. And then on the right side, you've got your power button. And of course, on the top, you've got a SIM slot, which also has a micro SD slot. So this thing has got a Snapdragon 865 in it, and it also has 128 gigabytes of storage. Again, expandable via micro SD up to 1 terabyte, which I've honestly never seen a 1 terabyte SD card before, but apparently they exist. As far as the specs go, this has got a OLED display, 1080p, HD, all that good stuff. It is only 60 hertz refresh rate, which I don't really care. I haven't noticed a difference. So obviously if you get an S20, S20 Ultra, you can get the 90 to 120 hertz display. Me, I would rather spend less money and get a display that looks just as good in my opinion, and you know, save $400 to $500. All right, so another great feature of this phone is the actual camera itself. It's a great camera. This thing will actually shoot 8K video at 24 frames per second. It'll also do 4K 60 and 30. With the rear and the front, it will do, again, 4K 30. It's got a 64 megapixel camera in the rear and a 10 megapixel camera in the front. But I'm going to show some samples of this as well. It's really hard to get 8K video off of this. You got to downscale it to 4K, be able to edit it. So you're going to lose some quality there, but I'll try and get you a sample of all the cameras on this thing. So again, I'm going to do a separate video, but for now, enjoy a couple of these.
Alright, this is 8K. Alright, this is the front-facing bokeh thing, rear camera, or front camera I should say, 4K 60. I don't know how the sound is, I guess we'll find out. So I think I can increase this so it should get louder maybe. Testing, 1, 2, testing, and I guess we'll see how it sounds on the computer.
All right, so what most people are probably most excited about this phone is the dual screen experience. So again, if you bundle it, it comes with this. If not, depending on your carrier, for me, I could have got it without the case for $800, or with, which I got obviously for $899 through T-Mobile. So it's pretty simple. You just slide the phone in it. It will power up. If I can get this to go. And there it is. Now, once you first put this in, you're actually going to have to turn the screen on. But once you turn it on, you are greeted with this. So this is the dual screen again. Fingerprint magnet glass on the front. Nice rubberized feel on the back. All you have to do is take the phone, drop it in, unlock it, and you're going to have this little button here to turn it off or on, put main screen to sleep. But you can see once you drop it in, you've got two independent screens. So for instance, if I want to open up my calendar, yep, and then if I want to whatever, open up YouTube, I can have two different apps at the same time, and they're independent of each other. Now, one odd thing is with this, I've got Microsoft Launcher installed, but it doesn't carry over to the other screen. So this is still LG's UI, as you can see, and this is Microsoft's, which, again, one of my problems with the UI for LG, and one of the reasons I installed the launcher is if I want to get to my notifications, on the Microsoft one, I can just swipe down. There's my notifications. If LG, it doesn't work. You gotta go all the way to the top. So to me, that's kind of a stupid design on the UI. One of the other reasons that I switched to the Microsoft launcher. But I wanted to show you a couple more little tricks with this. So for instance, let's go open up the dual screen apps and show you kind of a quick gaming demo. I'm not a gamer, don't really care to game on these, so after this video I'm probably going to delete these. But one of the things you can do is use the controller. Right, so use the bottom screen as a controller once it... See, it's still buggy, because that should not have opened like that. There's my game mode here.
Lights up.
There we go. Now I got to where I want it. Here we go. So this is the way it's supposed to work. You can swipe in from the left and it lets me do the LG gamepad. So I can turn this on. And this becomes a gamepad. There we go. And you can customize this, various configurations, but essentially you can just use this for playing games. And let's get one that's already built. So any game that supports a Bluetooth controller will let you let you use this. So there you can see, you can look around and it seems to work okay. So this is one kind of cool feature of the dual screen, but again, I don't know if it's worth carrying around for the extra bulk or not. So let's get out of this. And there you go. So that's kind of a demo of what one application you can use it for. But again, it's fairly bulky, as you can see. And you just get this tiny little screen which shows you notifications, but you're not able to actually interact with it at all. And you can kind of see the bulk. And it does come with a little magnetic pogo connector, but again, this will wirelessly charge without it. And there you go. That's kind of a little demo of the dual screen and kind of what you might use it for.
But as far as this dual screen experience goes, honestly, if you buy this phone just for the fact that it's dual screen, I think you're going to be disappointed. I tried forcing myself to use this for the entire time, but it just really is kind of bulky and cumbersome. And when you're using this screen, it's going to drain your battery life significantly. So without the dual screen, this thing is a day and a half, 2-day phone with battery life, fairly easy. But with this screen, it's going to be a 1-day phone or less. So it does eat the battery fairly quickly. And another great thing about this thing is just the price itself. Like I said, this is essentially the same specs you would get with an S20 or an S20 Ultra, and it's about $400 to $500 cheaper. And again, if you go, depending on your carrier, this thing will get bundled in, or you'll pay $100 extra bucks like I did to get this case bundled in. So really, for your dollars, this is a really good value because in every way, it is a flagship phone. So like I mentioned, I mean, this thing's got a Snapdragon 865 processor, which is literally the same ones in the S20 phones. And this thing actually comes with 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of internal. But the big thing about this is it still has expandable storage. So you can stick yourself an SD card in this, micro SD card, and expand it up to 1 terabyte. So it's there, and especially if you're going to be doing a lot of 8K video or just taking the 64 megapixel pictures or raw images, you'll automatically save it to that SD card. So it's going to not jam up your internal storage of the phone. So that's a really nice feature. Things I really like about this is just the screen. So it's an OLED. It's not, you know, quite as nice per se as the S20 or S20 Ultra, but I personally can't tell a difference. It's bright, it's vibrant. I really like it. And again, I don't really care about the 90 or 120 hertz because I've never used it other than on my iPad Pro, and I just personally, I don't care. I don't really see the difference. So again, I mean, I just really like this phone. I think the performance is extremely snappy. I've really not experienced any lag in this phone. It's just fast. Another thing that I like about this phone that I didn't know about, I just kind of saw it by Googling and tried it myself, is this thing actually comes with a desktop mode. So having come from Samsung phones, I'm used to using Samsung DeX. And with this, there's kind of a stripped down version of it. At its core, it does the same thing as DeX, but it's not quite as polished. But if you do plug in a USB-C to HDMI or whatever, this will pop up on your display. So I'll try and give you a quick demo of that. One other bonus of this thing is I don't have a pen to show you that works with this, but this actually has native pen support. You know, to work on the dual screen or the main screen. So it's got to be a Wacom AES type pen. All I have is Intrig pens that I have with my Surface, so those aren't going to work with it. But if you do have a Wacom pen laying around, it's got to be an AES one. So I tried using the dumb S Pen from my Tab S4. It didn't work, but if you've got an actual active pen, it will work with this. So there's a couple videos floating around YouTube showing that. So if you like using a pen or a stylus with your phone and you don't want to buy a Note, then you can do that with this phone. So now I want to talk about the negatives of this thing. And really that starts with the front-facing camera, as in there's no ability to do face unlock. All right, so the other negative of the dual screen is this phone itself gets tremendous battery life. I mean, it really gets really good battery life. It really gets really good battery life. But when you add this dual screen, of course, you're powering 2 full displays. The battery drains fairly quickly. So if you do plan on leaving this case on and using the dual screen, I really think you'll be hard pressed to make it through a day without having to charge this thing. But on that note, the dual screen also does support wireless charging. So if you lay this on the charging pad, it's going to charge. So you don't have to use the little magnetic dongle that they gave you, which you're probably going to lose in the first week. All right, so continuing on with the negatives of this thing is, for me, the LG software. This is the first LG phone I've honestly ever owned, and I got to say, I am not a fan of the software. I found numerous glitches with it, numerous things that are just not on the phone that you would think. For instance, there is no native email client on this phone. So again, I've never owned an LG phone, so whether that's common or it's just buried somewhere, but I cannot find a native email client for the life of me. The other issue with this software is you've got LG Pay, which is cool because it supports MST, but it literally only supports about 5 banks at this time. So I tried adding 3 different cards from 3 different banks, and none of them were supported. So LG Pay is there, but unless you are one of those 5 banks, it really does you no good. So with this, I'm just going to use GPay and or my Samsung Watch. The next pet peeve I have with the software, and possibly it's my unit, I posted on Reddit, but there is a dedicated Google Assistant button, which is pretty cool when it works. But when I push mine, it opens Google Assistant. However, for whatever reason, the microphone is disabled. But if I were to just use the common Google buzzwords, just using my voice saying, hey, you know what, it pops open, opens, works just fine. So I don't know what the issue is with the actual dedicated Google button. All right, so to wrap this review up, this is a fantastic device. I mean, it's a flagship in every way. 2020 specs. I mean, it's got the same processor as the S20 Ultra, and this thing costs a good two-thirds of the price of an S20 Ultra. So depending on your carrier, you can get this anywhere from $800 to $900. For $900 at T-Mobile, they bundled in this thing, the dual screen. But honestly, I think this is more gimmicky at this point instead of useful. So I would just do without the dual screen, save yourself $100. But for $800, you're still getting a really, really good phone. Beautiful display, excellent battery life, top-notch build quality, and the camera really is fantastic. And in my opinion, the camera does just as good as the S20's S20 Ultra. So save yourself $400 to $500, get this thing, and I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. So I can definitely recommend this phone without hesitation. So as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully I see you again soon. I do